Hey guys, what is going on? I got a really cool battle for you today between Brettonnian and the Dark Elves. We have Louen and Lokir and a life priestess or a life damsel with the army of battle pilgrims and a couple Grail Knights. Very, very Brettonnian army. Although I think you can say that about any Brettonnian army. They're all very Brettonnian in nature. They're either all peasants or all knights, or some mix of the both, which is all very Brettonnian. Um, So, Louen up here in the sky on Beaquist, excellent fighter. He has regeneration through the Ladies Champion. He is a great melee combatant. He has some physical resist, good armor, good weapon strength. He causes tear. He's going to do a great job in the sky. And I was going against the Lokir's faction of Dark Elves. I forget what they're called, the Blessed Dread maybe. And so I was expecting him to be on a dragon, because Lokir is almost always on a dragon, at least when I see him. I don't like dragons for the Dark Elves. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. Anyways, I got a couple units of Grail Knights. I got the Wardens of Montfort, the Regiment of Renown Yeoman Archers in the front. Just taking a couple pop shots. Their Vanguard deployed. I want to switch them onto those Witch Elves as quickly as possible. I have a front line made up of Battle Pilgrims. I got 3 units of Battle Pilgrims in the front, 2 units of Spearmen at Arms with shields behind them, Foot Squires, and 2 more units of Battle Pilgrims behind that. Kind of staggering my infantry a little bit so I can try and pick and choose my targets as well as possible, because the Dark Elves can bring a variety of infantry. They didn't bring that wide of a variety this time, but they have lots of options between just the bleak swords and dark shields, dark bleak swords and dark spears, dread spears. The Witch Elves, Sisters of Slaughter, Harganath Executioners, Black Ark Corsairs. I mean, these are all viable infantry. Black Ark of Nagarons, which they actually brought. But what my opponent did bring was a line of Black Ark Corsairs, 2 Black Ark of Nagaron, backed up by a Cold One Knight on each side, 2 Witch Elves, and a Death Caster, as well as Lokir on a dragon, of course. We'll just get into it now. As you can see, I'm pulling my heavy-hitting contingent of knights around the side over here, but Louen spots an opening, and that is this caster right here. She is all alone, and because of that, I know that Lokir's flying over my guys. He's not going to be able to stop me from getting a quick charge here, and I'm happy to take a fight on the ground with Lokir because I have 2 units of anti-large cavalry already. But what's going to happen first, I think, is this frontline engagement. Maybe. Yep. Oh, that kind of happened at the same time. Louen got the charge. Anyways, the Wardens of La Montazial charging into the Black Ark Corsairs. They get a charge off. My opponent does not get a charge, which is great. Really going to help me out here, because these Black Ark Corsairs do have 80 armor versus the 30 armor of these guys. So they're going to sustain a lot better, although the Battle Pilgrims do have superior stat line in their melee attack and defense. I got some really good damage on that Death Sorceress. Kind of wish I saw that there, or put that in a bit better, but Louen does a lot of damage to that Death Sorceress, which is great. She routes off. However, she gets back, she rallies back, so I use some of my Grail Knights that would otherwise be, going for some of these squishier targets in the back, or the backs of these Black Ark Corsairs, so the Witch Elves are doing a good job stopping me. I am going to get a charge off here, though, because charging into Witch Elves, especially if you can pull right out or through, is very good. Unfortunately, this group does get Rampage. It's something you have to watch out for. As you can see, I did almost 3/4 of their health and damage right there, but if if your unit rampages, it's not worth it. And as you can see, they do Rampage. This unit pulls out cleanly, and Lowen's going to pull out cleanly too. I'll use a regrowth on this Grail Knight just to keep it alive for a little longer. But as you can see, the Cold One Knights get engaged in the front line, and I pull my Spearmen up to deal with them into my Battle Pilgrims, help give it a little bit more meat, which really does help slow down these Cold One Knights. They would have been a lot better used to fend off my cavalry in the backline in conjunction with these Witch Elves. Louen is able to get onto this Death Sorceress again, because she is just not close enough to her infantry. And we get a rear charge onto the Blackguard with some of these Grail Knights, but it's pretty limp. Running into enemies running from you is always a little tricky for your cavalry, it seems, ever since medieval. Although dogs handle it pretty well. Just cavalry doesn't seem to handle it that well. Anyways, he's been using Spirit Leeches. I think all Spirit Leeches. I don't think I saw a single Fate of Una this game. On my various units. Actually, something to note, he did use a Spirit Leech on these Wardens of Montfort, and he got 7 kills with 1 Spirit Leech on these guys. And I hadn't really seen Spirit Leech used on cavalry to great effect, but against light cavalry, it might actually be pretty good. Like against Lanesh's Harvesters, it might be viable. Just something to think about. Because Fate of Buna costs twice as much. So anyways, Lowen's continuing to harass the Sorceress of Death. I do want to get him on Lokir, though, because Louen is a good combatant, and Lokir also a good combatant, but I have supportive healing, and he does not. He has regeneration, but I have regeneration too. I also have healing. But what I am going to do instead... Oh no! Yes, just in time. We're going to get a beautiful charge here with the Grail Knights into the back of these Black Ark Corsairs and just send them flying. This is beautiful. This is the reason I love playing Brettonnia, is these epic cavalry charges that just send the opponent scattered right there. So we get a great charge. He gets to free up all of his infantry. It's kind of stacked up a little bit too much, but when I'm trying to play a little bit more defensively, I'm okay with reducing my frontline impact. Because if I went toe-to-toe, spread out against all this stuff, my Earthbloods wouldn't be as effective, and the Grail Reliquae's morale-boosting effects would not be as good either. But Louen is going to follow Lokir into these fights and continue to harass him. I think he is faster than Lokir. Lokir has 90 speed, and Louen has 100? Yeah, it looks like he's slowed by something right now, but... Is he slowed by? Is he slowed? Yeah, he is slowed. Oh, Madness of Cain, maybe? Okay. Yeah, he's 100 speed, though, normally, so he is faster than Lokir. The Grail Knights have broken off these Black Ark Corsairs. They are pretty wounded, though, unfortunately. One of those units did get hit pretty hard by the Black Guard of Naggarond when it was rampaging, and the Black Guard are still really full health here. We got almost a full health unit there, and we have a full health unit here. Both of all of their models. Not that they have healing, so that doesn't matter. Well, I guess it does kind of matter. More models means your unit's going to be more impactful in how quickly it does damage, but it also means that you're more likely to lose units when you get Spirit Leech or something. Louen is going after the Deathcaster, and he finally manages to kill her, which is great. The last of the Cold One Knights coming in to try and stop him, and they do manage to rampage Louen, which sucks, because now he's stuck on the ground. But the Grail Knights coming in to rescue him, get a nice rear charge off into those Witch Elves, and once again send them scattering. I love that. I use this unit of Grail Knights to rear charge the Black Guard, but they instead just kind of turn and chase. So I let my infantry come and turn and chase them. I kind of see this as almost a bit of a lost cause here for these wounded unit of Grail Knights. They're not going to get out. Louen might if I help him well enough, but the other people are not. They keep chasing with the Black Guard. I keep pulling away. I don't want them in this fight, but Lokir has left, and I hope that eventually I'll be able to get Louen back. His animations sometimes send him pretty far, so there might be a point when the Madness of Cain is not upon him. I'm using this remaining infantry to clean up some Black Ark Corsairs that have rallied, but now that Lowen's occupied, he starts to go after my Lifecaster, which really sucks because she needs to be alive. She still has magic left, and Louen is hurt. So it looks like she does drop. Well, she's been trying to drop Earthbloods on these guys here, but he does get a breath attack off on these units. But the Priestess is thankfully on a horse. She is not on foot, unlike the Shadowcaster or the Deathcaster, which was part of what killed the Deathcaster. She couldn't get away from the dragon, or in this case, the Hippogriff. But my Earthcaster is fast enough. She can just scurry on away. These Grail Knights got sent in to rear charge the Black Guard, but unfortunately, Black Ark Corsairs pinned them in, but they hadn't really gotten quite a full surround, so I did manage to pull them out and charge them right into the back of these Witch Elves, which is so nice, because I get to pull right through and go into these Witch Elves. These forces over here are regrouping, trying to join up with the rest of my units, and the Brettonnian Knights continuing to run around the battlefield uninhibited. Those Cold One Knights would have been great for this situation here. Bequist coming down for a strike. We'll see if they hit. In terms of the accuracy of Louen versus, because Lokir has 80. Well, he's got his buff up right now, but Louen has 56 melee attack, and we'll assume that against an unbuffed Lokir, we'll wait for his buff to go away. Okay, so he has 5750. So I only have a 41% chance of hitting Lokir, and he has something like 47% chance of hitting me. It's not every time we're gonna smack, and sometimes the animations also messes up. We do get a hit there. Louen doesn't have the best armor piercing values. He only got 290 armor piercing damage. Compared to someone that has, I think Tyrion got a huge buff to his armor piercing recently. Or maybe I'm just thinking of him with the Sword of Cain, but I remember he has some pretty good armor piercing values now. But his infantry just gets blobbed up here, and at this point the battle is pretty much won. I have not much infantry to deal with this very elite Blackguard, but Louen is up, his lord is dead. I will terror rout them with Bequist here. I just charge in and immediately run away and rout off 2 units of Black Ark Corsairs. The Blackguard are going to hold out for a little bit longer, but it's not going to be forever. The Wardens of Montfort will be able to run down these Witch Elves and Black Ark Corsairs as they run. Make sure they don't regroup. The Grail Knights are going to be able to cycle charge a little bit. There are still 4 Grail Knights. We'll get a little slow-mo shot here. I guess I did that too early, but they're coming. They're coming. We'll see who wins this charge. Look at that Blackguard just... Oh, the jump attack. Yes! That is why. Ooh, let me get that back. That is why charges are so much fun, but they just get cut down as soon as they get stopped in the melee here. Because Grail Knights do not love anti-large armor-piercing elite infantry such as the Blackguard. In comes Louen for the last little bit of morale that they have left. He's in a dive bomb. Only 28 kills on Louen. He spent most of his time chasing Lokir and that Death Sorceress. But it was very impactful kills, I guess I should say. The Grail Knights did not get used as well as they could have this match. They got rampaged by the Witch Elves more than I should have. I played a little bit aggressively because I wanted to take out Lokir and the Death Sorceress quickly. But I think if I played a bit more conservatively, the Grail Knights would have probably been able to make a bigger impact. I just didn't expect my opponent to commit so heavily to my front line with his Knights too. Because honestly, if I knew that, I would have just charged my Grail Knights into the back of my front line and just countered his cold ones that way. I mean, Louen was fine in the back line pretty much by himself. He was more slippery without the Knights there, so... anyways, very well played to my opponent. We'll end the replay and take a look at the post-game screen here. Yeah, I mean, his Black Ark Corsairs, they got kills. They're fighting Brettonnian peasants. The Black Art of Nagrand also, I mean, pretty much all of my infantry force was dead by the end of this. But who really mattered, you know, Louen right here. He was still pretty healthy by the end. And that terror on Louen is really impactful. The Grail Reliquae also stayed alive for a very long time, which meant that my morale stayed pretty steady. I didn't notice any of my troops. I mean, the Grail Knights routed once, but that was after they got rampaged and surrounded by Blackguard. I'm trying to think if anyone else routed this match, but I don't think they did. I mean, this is a really high leadership build for Brettonnia. There was a couple points when I think that a Doom and Darkness or... I always get mixed up. Lore of Death has 2 spells that affect morale. One gives Terror to one of your units and bonus leadership to that unit, and another one gives like -16 leadership to a certain unit. And I think you might have been able to use that to rout off units that are on the periphery and not affected by the Grail Reliquae, but I'm not sure if that's efficient Winds Magic usage, considering they got so many good Spirit Leeches off on my Grail Knights, and Louen, it is probably better spent there. But I would strongly recommend putting casters on horses, at the very least a horse. Because otherwise they get gooned out too easily by something like Louen up on Bequist, and you have to spend too much time defending them, and that allows, you know, my inferior units in the front line to win the front line. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in several passings of the sun.